Hi guys, welcome to this week's edition of the Coffee and Hero Show, taking you through all the new collected editions into the store. It's a pretty big week for collected editions, some absolutely wonderful editions, some great compendiums, a couple of omnibuses, trade paperbacks and hardcovers, a little bit of everything, and genuinely some of my favorite ever comics of all time are included within this video. And we're going to kick things off with one of those absolute best of all time. I'm sure you've heard me talk about it before in store, a book called Chew from John Layman and Rob Guillory. This was one of the first books that got me into indie comics, along with Y the Last Man, along with Deadly Class, along with Saga, Walking Dead. This is from what I like to call the golden era of Image Comics. 60 issues in total. It's hard, I think, to do comedy in a comic, but this is genuinely one of the funniest books you will ever read. Tons of background details in the artwork, great storytelling, great characters. It was 60 issues in total, and this is the whole kit and caboodle. Comes in at 60 quid, pound an issue, absolute steal. Image really are knocking it out of the park with these compendium editions, and I cannot recommend Chew highly enough. As well as Chew at that time, this was another favourite, which was East of West. This is from Jonathan Hickman, art by Nick Dragotta, who of course is riding the crest of success of Absolute Batman recently. But this book is, I think, Hickman's best work. Hickman's done a lot of great stuff in his career, obviously predominantly at Marvel, but East of West is a 45 issue series. There's a wee one shot in there as well. He wrote every issue, Dragotta drew every issue. It's a sort of a sci-fi manga-esque take on the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. And it has a beginning, it has a middle, and best of all for Hickman, it has an end. It has a fitting conclusion. Again, all contained within this one edition. Can't recommend it highly enough. East of West. There are hardcovers available for East of West, but they're like hen's teeth trying to find them, I can assure you. So next up, we have an omnibus, which is X-Men Fatal Attractions. So this is covering Uncanny X-Men 298 to 305 and 315, some X-Factor issues, some X-Men Unlimited, X-Force issues, X-Men Wolverine, and Excalibur. Magneto returns in the thrilling saga that commemorated the X-Men's 30th anniversary. So all collected there. Lovely Greg Capullo fresh cover for it as well. So yeah, X-Men, the Uncanny X-Men Fatal Attractions. Another of my favourite books, and the second omnibus has now arrived, is Scalp from Jason Aaron and R.M. Guerrera. Jock doing all the covers for it as well. An amazing crime saga book. It's split across two omnibuses. We have the first volume in stock already, but now volume 2 has come out to complete the entire saga. So this includes issues 30 to 60, forward by Garth Ennis, brand new introduction by series editor Will Dennis, an all new cover, new chapter illustrations, and a treasure trove of behind the scenes material. And again, cannot recommend enough. Scalp is awesome. And then the last one outside of the box for the moment is the Doom Treasury Edition. This was a one-shot that came out not too long ago, written by Jonathan Hickman, art by Sanford Green. So they've upgraded it to Treasury Edition size, but also included other issues. Fantastic Four 583 and Runaways #1. Doom alone can save the Marvel Universe. So yeah, in that extreme size format, lovely addition there as well. So into the box, and we kick things off with Batman Catwoman, 12 issue miniseries from Tom King, Clay Mann, Liam Sharp did art for a couple of issues as well. This of course was the sort of the conclusion to the Tom King Batman saga, and it also features the first appearance of Coffee and Heroes in a comic. A story I love to tell about saying to Clay when he was over at our signing that he should draw us into the comic. He was a man of his word. There's a scene in issue 10 where the Joker jumps at Catwoman. They crash through a window out to the street, and the store that they were in is Coffee and Heroes. You can see our logo clear as day. It brings immense pride, first of all, that it made it into the single issue. It made it into the hardcover. Editors still haven't picked up on it. It's in the trade paperback as well, which is out this week. Next up, we have Zatanna Bring Down the House. This was a cracking 5-issue miniseries out recently from Mariko Tamaki and art by Javier Rodriguez, who of course is going on to be the artist in Absolute Martian Manhunter. Highly, highly recommend this book. One of the best looking books of the last couple of years, but also just a great Zatanna story as well. Next up, we have the first omnibus for Ultimate Fantastic Four. Marvel have been doing a really good job recently of doing omnibuses and new editions in general for the original Ultimate Universe. They have, of course, released 4 volumes of Ultimate Spider-Man, a couple of volumes of Ultimate X-Men, the Ultimates, and now Ultimate Fantastic Four is getting its moment in the sun. So, predominantly written by Brian Michael Bendis, Mark Miller, Warren Ellis, and Mike Carey, and drawn by Adam Kubert, Stuart Immonen, Jay Lee, Greg Land, and Mitch Breitweiser as well. Classic Heroes Reinvented. This includes the first 32 issues and also annual number 1. Next up, we have a hardcover for Dark Knights of Steel All Winter. So this was sort of a side mission book, if you will. The Red Hot Dark Knights of Steel epic, which reimagines DC heroes in a medieval fantasy world, expands into bone-chilling new territories with unexpected surprises around every glacier. This one focuses on Deathstroke. Speaking of barbarian-type books, we have Conan the Barbarian Volume 4 from Titan Comics. Again, if you ever listen to our podcast, you'll hear us talk about Conan all the time. Just fantastic fantasy writing. Jim Zub, Doug Braithwaite on art. Great book. Also getting the reprint treatment at the moment in these new editions is Criminal. So this week sees the release of Volume 4, Bad Night. So Brubaker Phillips, of course. They're continuing to put out these great new editions of this classic book. We have Daredevil Woman Without Fear, Bloody Reunion. So this is a 4-issue miniseries, also contains Daredevil number 8 as well. The next thrilling chapter in the deadly life of Elektra. Next up, DC as well are starting to knock these little compendiums out of the park as well. Obviously, we've had Dark Knight's Metal as an omnibus, so bigger format, hardcover, etc., etc. But they're now doing this cheaper priced alternative compendium, so soft cover. And this contains everything from Dark Knight's Metal from the wonderful team of Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. So as well as all of the main series itself, you get all of the one-shots, so all the one-shots looking at the Dark Knights. You get the tie-in issues that were for Bats Out of Hell as well. And yeah, just a really, really cracking event. This I've always said it, like this is always a special book for us in store. It was one of the first big series, big events that we started to get pull list sign-ups for. So yeah, it holds a special place for us, and it's just a fantastic book to boot. Next up, the next volume of DC Finest is this week, so DC Finest Team-Ups. Chase to the End of Time. This covers 1978 to 1979 and is looking at the DC Brave and the Bold and DC Comics Presents era. So you've got team-up issues like Batman and Aquaman, Batman Supergirl, Superman Swamp Thing, Superman and Sergeant Rock, so all contained within that. Next up, we have The Domain. So this is from Chip Zdarsky and Rachel Stott. If you're reading the book Public Domain, which I highly, highly recommend, which also sees its second volume out this week from Chip Zdarsky. He writes and draws this one. Public Domain is essentially all about a creator of a massive character getting the rights back to said character and doing his own spin on it for the modern audience. The book's a really great sort of deep dive into the comics industry. But Public Domain's fantastic. When they get the rights back, they start working on a book called The Domain, and that's what this is. So it's very, very meta. This is the book they're working on in Public Domain. Just a great superhero team-up book, and this was 5 issues. Really, really fun as well. Next up from Image Comics as well, we have Geiger Volume 2. So Geiger was originally its own volume, and then they obviously started this Ghost Machine initiative or imprint Image. So essentially this is Volume 2. Volume 1 we have on the shelves as well. But yeah, from the great team of Jeff Johns and Gary Frank. A little bit of Spawn for you next. We have Keen's Spawn, Volume 6. Todd McFarlane continuing on Spawn. Javi Fernandez on art as well. You've got issues from Jason Sean Alexander and Jeremy Kwan as well. Speaking of Spawn, we've got Spawn The Origins Collection, Volume 30. So these are the collections of the original Spawn volumes. And a certain amount of issues coming in there. This collects Spawn issues 179 to 184, which is when you had amazing art from Greg Capullo, for example, Brian Haberlin and Mike Mayhew, and stories by Todd McFarlane and David Hine. And then to finish off the Spawn trifecta in trades this week, we have Spawn the Scorched, John Layman on this one, Steven Segovia on art, and this is issue 27 to 32 of The Scorched, which of course is the team-up book in the Spawn universe. I did tell you it was a big week, guys. Next up we have Memetic, the Apocalyptic Trilogy. This is from James Tynion IV and Eric Donovan on art. I read this when it came out as well. It was great. It's all about this meme that if you look at it, you're basically dead within 72 hours. And of course, curious people can't help. Even though they know the consequences, they can't help but look at it. Really, really good series, and really sort of, this was when Tynion was starting to hit his stride as a writer. He would move on to Detective Comics Rebirth, and he was working on Batman Eternal, etc. But yeah, he's starting to make a name for himself there in independent horror. Next up, Minor Arcana from Jeff Lemire. This is issues 1 to 5 of a new book from him, new creator-owned book, writing and drawing. When Teresa's mom, a phony small-town psychic, falls ill, Teresa has to return home to take care of her, but she soon discovers that everyone in town is mysteriously connected through the tarot and that she may actually have real psychic abilities. Yeah, really good first 5 issues. I've been reading that in single issues. Next up, we have Phoenix. So Marvel are continuing to put out the new X-Men series from the Rise of Krakoa, or the Fall of Krakoa, I should say. So this contains issues 1 to 5 from Stephanie Phillips and Alessandro Miracolo. Couple just to finish off then, we have Self-Help, new book from Image Comics, written by Owen Keane, art by Jesse Kellerman. In the tradition of The Big Lebowski and The Long Goodbye. Those are some big shoes to fill right there. California noir with a wicked sense of humour, surreal and colourful world filled with liars, two-faced talk show hosts, cheerish Finnish mobsters, bloodthirsty white supremacists, snide English butlers, and panther-wielding Eurotrash assassins. Next up we have Thunderbolts, the saga of Winter Soldier. So Captain America issues here, charting the rise of the character Winter Soldier. You've got Captain America issues 6, 8 to 9, 11 to 14. You've got a mini-series, Winter Soldier, The Bitter March 1 to 5, and Winter Soldier 1 to 5 as well. Next up we have Thundercats Chitara, so the hardcover for the tie-in series to Thundercats. We've got all of the Thundercats comics so far. We've got single issues in the Dynamite bays, but we've also got the hardcover and soft covers in the graphic novel section. So this is the complete 5-issue mini-series for that. We have What's the Furthest Place from Here, Volume 4. This, of course, is Tyler Boss and Matthew Rosenberg's very surreal end of the world type stuff. Story of a found family falling apart, getting lost in the ruins of America and all the things they find there. Sometimes you have to fight for what matters most, your life, your loved ones, and your record collection. And then 2 big ones just to finish off with, and we've ordered big on both. First of all, you have Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 2. Jonathan Hickman, Marco Cicchetto, of course, continuing to knock it out of the park with the best Ultimate book, in my opinion, with Ultimate Spider-Man. This contains issues 7 to 12. But also this week sees the release of the original Ultimate Spider-Man from Brian Michael Bendis and Mark Bagley. This is part of a new range called the Marvel Ultimate Epic Collection. So they're starting to reprint the older Ultimate Universe stuff as well, which is great to see. They have done it, as I stated earlier, in omnibus forms. Some people prefer the trade paperbacks. So this contains the first 13 issues, or as it talks about here, the groundbreaking first year of the 21st century reimagining of Spider-Man. Cannot recommend it enough. Simply some of the best superhero comics around. Only read it for myself in the last couple of years, and there's a reason it's as revered as it is. So yeah, that is this week in terms of graphic novels. As I say, it was a big week. Big editions everywhere, big titles everywhere, fantastic stuff everywhere. And as ever, we make sure to get in plenty of it so you guys don't miss out. As ever, hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope it has proven useful, keeping you up to date with what is into the store. Check back, of course, later and we'll get our single issue video out as well. Again, it is a big week in the single issue comics industry as well. So yeah, as I say, guys, until next time, hopefully I'll see you in the store. Take it easy.